Things to look for when choosing a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. That's this week's question of the week. I'm al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas. And this question comes from one of my friends, Dan C. Bearded, and also who has a great YouTube channel on beards. And also, because this is a military town, San Antonio, I get students that come in all the time from, they transfer in and 2 or 3 years later, they got to transfer out. And I end up helping them trying to find a new school. So I try to make up a list, and I figured I'd do this video to see if it could be helpful in things to look for in choosing a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. So the first thing is checking to see if the head instructor is legitimate. That seems like a gimme because you assume like, oh yeah, this person is legitimate, but it's like they should be able to define like who promoted them to black belt. Or if you call the school, like sometimes the school will have the name of somebody famous, and it's like, okay, yeah, this famous champion, their name is on the wall or on the billboard, but who actually teaches classes every day? And is this person, legitimate? So that's something you want to check. So any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt should be more than happy to answer your questions on who promoted them to black belt. Like that would be a major warning sign to me if somebody was like, I don't talk about who promoted me. It's like, no, that's a big deal to ensure that this person is a legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Because it happens less now due to social media and the internet, where it's so easy to just research to find out, like who somebody's affiliated with. Where, man, I know when I started in the 80s and 90s, even when I was teaching at an MMA school in 2000s, there was an instructor there, like he had certificates on the wall, like one was for judo, another was for taekwondo, and he was like advertising he was a 6th or 7th degree black belt in both those arts. And somebody came in one day and they looked at the certificates and said, these are like made up martial arts associations. They're not the legitimate associations. And like we was all totally shocked. We just assumed, I didn't own the school. I was just one of the instructors there. I just assumed like this dude was legit, but like I didn't know the associations in that particular martial arts. And so it turned out the guy was fraudulent, and they fired him. But you want to be able to verify, like, is this person legitimate? So if for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that person should have a certificate or list like who promoted them to black belt, or like they might have an like I have an IBJJF certification, which is the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and they certified me as a 2nd degree black belt. One, they verified with my instructor Luis Pajaras, and it's signed off by Carlos Gracie Jr. and Osvaldo Alves. And so that's hanging on my wall, and my wife's certification is hanging on the wall. Like we're not making this up. We didn't self-promote ourselves. And so the IBJJF is a wonderful organization that they will verify that this person is legitimate. And also what they do is like they make all the people that apply for promotion. So like I applied for my 2nd degree on the February 17th, 2022. And during the application, I had to go through the referee course, so I know the rules of the tournament. I had to go through, I had to qualify in CPR. I had to go through a safe sport course, which is an ethics course on teaching martial arts. And I also had to submit to a criminal background check. So anybody with the IBJJF black belt certification has submitted to a criminal background check. So that, hey, this person, we did another video where like an instructor in town, had been convicted multiple times of domestic violence. Of course, he's not an IBJJF certified instructor. If you went to that person's school, they'd probably be like, I don't do IBJJF tournaments. I do these other tournaments. Because the IBJJF, they're going to verify, like, no, that you haven't committed a felony. And like, some of the felonies I would be worried about would be like domestic violence, sexual assault, child molestation. Like, you want to make sure, hey, is this person not in that category, especially like you're sending your kids to train with them. So I think the IBJJF certification is very important, and it's one easy way to verify, like, yes, this is a legit school. Not to say that any school that doesn't have IBJJF certification is not legit, It's just an easy way to verify. Like, oh, you're IBJJF certified. I know you're good to go. And if you're not, they should be very open on who promoted them. You know, like I'm always leery when I hear somebody who says black belt in BJJ, because almost everybody will tell you, like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in particular, it's almost more prestigious who promoted you than the color of the belt. You know, so if you got promoted by, you know, say Hickson Gracie or Hoist Gracie, like you're going to be very proud of it, and you're going to list that like, hey, this is who promoted me. Or if you got promoted by some world champion, you're going to be very proud of that accomplishment, and you're going to list that. You're not going to be vague about it. So the IBJJF just verifies that, yes, you know, this person is a legitimately promoted black belt, and they verify with your instructor, who's also vetted that they're legitimately promoted. Take a look at, you know, who actually teaches classes. Like, sit down and watch a class without even joining. Just sit down and check a class out and see, like, hey, who's teaching the class? Because sometimes there'll be a name on the board, but that's not who teaches the class every day. You know, so see who actually teaches the class every day, and are they attentive to the students? You know, also look at the diversity. You know, are there both male and female students? You know, different demographics represented, or is it all just one demographic? You know, like a new school may be just all one demographic, but I think as a school grows, you know, it should be a more diverse. You should see more different groups of people. What's the cost of membership? Very important. Like, how much is this going to cost? Because you have to figure out, can I afford this? You know, like, it may be the greatest school ever, but if it's out of your budget, well, that's a problem. You know, like, you can't afford it. You know, not that you should base your school choice strictly on cost, but if it's a cost that you cannot afford, well, you need to know that. And then you're looking at other schools and things that you can afford. So take a look at cost of membership, and is there contracts? Like, one time I had to buy out a contract because I'd signed a 3-year contract. The school seemed legit. It was in a little small town in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And then shortly after starting, I realized the dude was nuts, and I didn't want to be a part of this. And so I had to pay the dude like $1,300 to get out of the contract. So that's why I don't do contracts at my school. But in addition, you want to know, is there a contract I have to sign? And if I'm signing it, what's the buyout? What's the deal if I find out this is not for me? So I would look at schools that have free trials. Like my school, we do a 14-day free trial. So you can come in for 2 weeks to see how we are, see what the culture is, see who's teaching, see if this is something that, you know, you can fit into your lifestyle. Also, is the gym nice and clean? You know, are the facilities nice? Is it clean? Do you see them cleaning regularly? Like, if you never see people cleaning, there's a good chance they don't clean. So you want to make sure you're training on clean mats in a clean facility, because you don't want, you know, infectious diseases like ringworm or staph infection, MRSA. And then another criteria is evaluate what's your commute to the school. Because once again, it could be a great school, but if you've got to commute an hour each way, it's probably not practical, and you're not going to train as much because it's such a long commute. Like, I would say the ideal is like something within 15, 20 minutes where you can just go and get back, and you're not spending, you know, like 2 hours on the road to do 1 hour of training. So it's 3 hours of your time just to do 1 hour of training. So see what the commute is. See what the class size and structure is. Sometimes, like, a school could be huge, but if there's 100 students, you may not learn that well with 100 students in a class, you know. And so by watching and going through the free trial, you can see, like, how attentive are the instructors? You know, is this just you're on your own? You know, like, can you learn in that kind of environment? See what their schedule is, the class schedule, compared to your work schedule. Because once again, it could be a great school, but if there's a conflict between your work or even like your family activity schedule in the school schedule, like, you want to make sure that those are going to work together. And that's some of the things I look for when I'm looking at a school. Anybody has any insights on what they look for, any suggestions, feel free to comment below. And got a question for next week, feel free to comment below. And until next week, ciao.